All right, guys, welcome back. So some pretty big news here in the world of sprint car racing today. Wasn't planning on doing a video today, but then this broke. So real quick, before we get into the news, want to say thank you to a new channel member, Kurt Brooks, coming in with a Tier 1 membership. Thank you so much, Kurt. Appreciate your support. Also want to say thank you real quick to our other channel members as well. Blake Dowell, Racing Vagabond, Easy Does It, Skyke, and Bill Gillis. Also Nate Trewin, Ryan Showalter, Bill Cinnamon, also Skilloner, Brett Baer, Christopher Thacker, Jay Strasser, Ed Minus, Ryan Farnsley, John O'Neill, The Real Snipey 47A, Matt Parsons, and Caleb Johnson. Thank you all so much for your support of the channel. Really, really appreciate it. Also, 4,000 subscribers yesterday was hit. Really, really appreciate everybody subscribing as well, helping grow this channel. And the growth has been way more than I could have actually anticipated going in when I started this whole thing. The YouTube community is absolutely fantastic. So here we go. The big news today is Justin Peck taking over the wheel of the Rudeen Racing number 26 car for 2025. So Rudeen, I don't know, it's probably about 2 hours ago or so. I was out and about, could not make a video instantly, but 2 hours ago, Justin Peck was announced to go into this car in 2025. And they did mention in that post that they will be full-time high-limit racing drivers and team in 2025. Rudeen last year finished 12th in the overall point standings with Zeb Wise behind the wheel. If you are somehow living under a rock or you don't know what's going on, Zeb Wise yesterday was announced that he was leaving, or that Rudeen said that they were what was the word they used? They weren't parting ways, but they said that they were leaving him of his duties as the driver of the car. That was the wording they used. And now today they bring out the news that Peck will be filling in that seat. So now we do this every single video when it comes to driver swaps and team swaps and stuff like that, giving a grade for both the driver and the team. I know I have it backwards. I'm going to go with the grades first for Rudeen Racing. I think this has to be an A, right? I mean, Justin Peck is a younger guy, but he's been around the block for a long time. He's young, but he's got a lot of experience. He's won a lot of races. He's ran well at all the big races. He's made the Knoxville Nationals, third at the Kings Royal. He's made the National Open and led laps during the National Open weekend, right? He's done it on the big stages. He's went to the West Coast and ran there. He's ran all over the place. This is a huge, huge pickup for Rudeen Racing. And I would say, I don't know, it's hard to tell. I mean, what would you guys think? Do you think out of the three drivers they most recently had, Corey Eliason, Zeb Wise, or Justin Peck, I don't know, which one do you think is the best that they've had so far? I think Peck, with the most recent runs, like when you look at last year alone, I would say Peck was definitely the best of those three. And so this is a huge, huge pickup for Rudeen Racing. And I think you've got to give them an A grade, no less, maybe a B plus at the worst for them. But when it comes to Justin Peck, this is a little bit, I don't know, man. This is tough because they are coming off of a really tough year with Zeb Wise behind the wheel. And if that continues on into next year, then this could look really bad for both parties involved here. And Justin Peck has some pretty big goals set ahead of him for 2025. We'll get more into that here in just a moment. But for Justin Peck, I feel like if this team was coming off of a 5-win season, they ran 8th in points, they ran top 5, they had a good average finish under 10, right? Then this would be a B or an A grade for me when it comes to him. But for now, with the most recent season that happened, my dad always told me, you're only as good as your last race. You're only as good as your last season. And last season as a team, they definitely struggled. I've got to give Justin Peck a C right now because they just didn't really have a ton of speed all year long. It would come, the speed would come, but then it would go. And then it would come back a little bit later, but then it would go away once again, right? They couldn't find consistency, and that's tough, right? I mean, Justin Peck is going to want a consistent car each and every night, which is what he had at Buick Motorsports. That car was not very streaky. It was always seemed to be running pretty well. So for now, I'm going to give a C for Peck and an A for Rudeen Racing. And I hope that these guys can get off on the right foot right away and make speed and be contending for top 10s and top 5s immediately out of the gate, because Justin Peck is a popular driver and this is a very popular team. A lot of people love Rudeen Racing. They love the blue. They love what they stand for, the Pacific Northwest based team. They obviously are in Indiana right now, but I think this is a very well-liked team. Kevin Rudeen, very well-liked guy, obviously. I mean, he does a ton for the sport. And I think that, High Limit would not I feel like, honestly, High Limit wouldn't be quite what it is without Kevin Rudeen. His big race at Skagit, $100,000 to win, $26,000 to win Race Rudeen Foundation event. Kevin Rudeen is a huge, huge guy, a huge asset for the sport, and we are glad to have him involved with High Limit Racing, even with his race team as well. Now, what is Rudeen getting with this driver? Last year, Justin Peck, 18th overall in SprintCarRatings.com rankings, meaning that they believe he is the 18th best driver in the country. Last year, he had 72 starts overall with High Limit, the Outlaws, everything. 72 starts, 1 win. He did make $228,079 while driving the Buick Motorsports 13 car. And 18th, man, I feel like 18th's low. Do you guys think that's low? 18th for Justin Peck? I think he's higher. I think he's easily in the top 15, maybe the top 12 best driver. He just doesn't have the wins, which I think is kind of anchoring him down a little bit more on their rankings. If he had 3 wins, he'd probably be up there around 12th or 11th, I would have to think. But, I talked about it yesterday. Zeb Wise in 2024, Sprint Car Ratings had him as the 33rd best driver, and they've got Peck at 18th. So definitely an upgrade when it comes to the numbers from that website. Who knows? I mean, it's a little subjective. You guys can think what you want about who is better between those two. But just going off a website that has a pretty good, formula for figuring this stuff out. Justin Peck, obviously a very, very good driver. Now, what engines will they run next year? That is a big question mark that a lot of people have right now for this team. They ran Ford last year, and if Justin Peck goes into that team and they are still running Fords next year, I think that's going to be a little bit of a learning process. That's going to certainly throw a curveball at Justin Peck. He's always ran Chevys, and we've seen in the past that the Ford stuff is a little bit tougher to get a hold of. It took Donnie Schatz a couple of years to kind of get back into a form where he's running up front more often than not, right? I mean, there was 1 year he was struggling. I think that he would tell you the same exact thing, but they got the Ford dialed in. It just took a while. Zeb Wise had a tough year last year with the Ford under the hood. How will Justin Peck adept? What's the word I'm looking for? How will he, adopt? I'm going to go with adopt. I know that's not the right word right now, guys, but just come on, man. I've been talking for 8 minutes in a row. But, I mean, how's he going to go with the Ford engine underneath the hood? Will he pick it up quick or not? That is something that we're going to need to be paying attention to next year as well. Now, I got the 5 car, the CJB Motorsports 5 on the board as well. And the rug was certainly pulled out from underneath of Justin Peck because listening to an interview with Daryl Turford on the Drivers Project with Justin Peck came out like 3 days ago. It sounded like this was a done deal. They were going to be running next year, CJB and Justin Peck and Ty Wolfgang, all that stuff. And then it sounded like at Texas Motor Speedway, the last race of the High Limit Racing season, Justin Peck was told that it's not happening anymore, man. We've got a new driver coming in next year. Unfortunately, we have to end this thing before it even starts. And so Justin Peck, kind of like all of my cryptocurrency endeavors, the rug was pulled out from underneath of him, and he was back to being a free agent. And I would have to think that maybe was a contributing factor to Zeb Wise being let go when Kevin Rudeen sees, wow, Justin Peck had a great year. He is now a free agent. We could pick him up right now, and he could improve our program. I think that definitely hurt a little bit for Zeb Wise there. Now, speaking of Zeb, where does he go for 2025? I've got 5 options on the board that could potentially happen. Some of them are definitely more likely to happen than the other ones, and I'm not saying any of these are going to happen. I'm just thinking to myself, like, hey, this guy could potentially hire him or blah, 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 right? The Roth Motorsports car is certainly one with a big question mark around it right now. We know Ryan Timms is running it right now. We've heard about 75 different rumors that they're running the Outlaw Tour with 2 cars. They're going to run just the California stuff. McFadden's coming back to run a part-time schedule. Everything in the book has been mentioned about this car, but maybe, just maybe, they see a guy like Zeb Wise available and they throw him in there. Also, the Crouch Motorsports 11, in my opinion, out of the 5 on the board here, this is the one that is more than likely the best landing spot, the one that makes the most sense. Could possibly happen the most out of all of those. So the Crouch Motorsports 11 could be a potential landing spot for Zeb Wise. The 17 GP for Michael Dutcher Motorsports, we know that he wants to try and go full-time next year. Maybe Zeb Wise can land in there. The 55, the Vermeer Motorsports car, all the rumors circling around that Chris Windom more than likely not going to be coming back to that ride next year. He did get a top 10 last night, though, with the Outlaws at Riverside, so maybe we'll have to wait and see if things change there. But maybe the 55 for Vermeer could be a spot as well for Zeb Wise. I'm sure he is working the phones like a call center right now, trying to figure something out. He did mention in a Twitter post that he should hopefully have more details coming out in the coming weeks. I've also got the Hayward Motorsports 19 on the board. That team has ran the All-Stars full-time in the past. maybe if Zeb Wise can find a decent sponsor, he can make that happen as well, and they could take that car out on the road full time. We do know that Joel Myers Jr. is in it right now, but maybe things can change. We'll have to wait and see. Also, Peck mentioned in that Drivers Project interview that he has some pretty big goals. He would like to win 10 races next year and be top 5 in the point standings with High Limit in 2025. And 10 wins. I mean, he kind of meant, he didn't say 10 wins with High Limit, he meant like 10 wins overall in sprint car racing. So I think that, if he can get 4 or 5 with High Limit, then he can go to Dirt Cup, maybe get a win there. He can go to PA or Knoxville or whatever, and maybe get the other ones. But 10 wins is a lot. I don't think Rudeen Racing's ever won 10 races in one single season, but they've got a top-tier driver behind the wheel. And so maybe that happens. But those are some pretty lofty goals for Justin Peck. If he wins 10 races next year, he is going to be a superstar in the sport. He's already a huge fan favorite. He's a guy I feel like he's like a blue-collar guy compared to a lot of these race car drivers, and a lot of people seem to be attracted to that with Justin Peck. And so it's going to be great to have him next year back with High Limit after it sounding like he was going to go to the Outlaws, but that whole thing fell through with the 5 car, and so he is back. Now, the final 2 things I have on the board, Tyler Tessmaker sounds like he will still be the crew chief on the car. I had somebody comment in the video yesterday asking who the crew chief was for the 26. It is Tyler Tessmaker, and as far as I know, he is still going to be on the car next year, and we'll see how he and Justin Peck are able to mesh early on in their combination being together. And the final thing is, will these guys race before the end of 2024? My answer is going to be yes. This has not been confirmed, but I would believe that these guys will be going to World Finals to take on the Outlaws. And if that is the case, then World Finals is going to be very interesting. We already know that Bason's going to be there in the 14. We know that Dason Persley is going to be there in the 13. Peck could be going in the 26. And I did hear that maybe the new driver of the CJB car will be there as well. So World Finals, also Corey Eliason, he'll be there in the 2KS car. World Finals is going to be crazy. And I feel bad for Johnny Gibson trying to match up who's in what car now at the end of the year. I am not looking forward to that already. I'm going to be messing up who's in the 26, who's in the 14, who's in the 13 next year. That is going to really throw me for a curveball next year. Final thing here. We've got this. It is a mini whiteboard that I'm going to be using for traveling from now on. It was donated to us by Blake Dowell, one of our channel members, and I'm going to be using it here to keep track of who has gone where whenever we come up with these videos. So Dason Persley here, it's just a refresher. You might already know all this information, but if you did not know it, here you go. Dason Persley, full-time with High Limit in the Buick Motorsports 13. Spencer Baston, full-time with High Limit in the Jason Myers Racing 14. Justin Peck, full-time with High Limit Racing in the Rudeen Racing 26. And Cole Macedo, full-time with the World of Outlaws in the 2C car, who's Todd Carlisle's car, the one that is full-time on the ASCS Tour right now with Hank Davis. And then on the backside here, we've got, I erased it on accident. We've got question marks for Zeb Wise. As I mentioned a moment ago, we don't know what Corey Eliason's plans are for 2025. He will be at Charlotte with the 2KS car. And then who is in the CJB Motorsports 5? These are the ones that we have question marks on. These are the ones we know for sure and what they're doing next year. So you'll be seeing this board a little bit more as these silly season things come out. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit subscribe. Make sure, please, leave your grades, your comments down below for this driver and this team for 2025 down in the comment section below. Also hit the like button, and we will talk to you guys again here very soon. Thanks.